Welcome to the 700 Club. The split in the Democratic Party was on full display at the debate in Detroit last night. Progressive candidates pushing for radical change fought with moderates urging a more cautious approach.
As Charlene Aaron reports, whether the topic was health care, immigration, or the environment, the two sides can't seem to agree on the best way to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
Night one of the Democratic debates in Detroit highlighted the internal struggle for the direction of the Democratic Party as moderates and progressives squared off. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, the leaders of the progressive pack, boldly put forth their ambitious ideas. Bernie Sanders defending his Medicare for All plan.
Congressman Delaney just referred to it as bad policy, and previously he has called the idea political suicide that will just get President Trump reelected. What do you say to Congressman Delaney?
You're wrong. We don't have to go around and be the party of subtraction and telling half the country who has private health insurance that their health insurance is illegal.
Sanders getting a little testy when challenged on the details.
For senior citizens, it will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all,
you don't know that,
second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the bill.
For her part, Elizabeth Warren calling out moderates for not being ambitious enough.
I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
And sparring over immigration policy, specifically decriminalizing illegal immigration.
So the problem is that right now, the criminalization statute is what gives Donald Trump the ability to take children away from their parents. It's what gives him the ability to lock up people at our borders.
We can actually get to the point where we have both safe borders, where we have a path to citizenship, where we have opportunities for dreamers. And you don't have to decriminalize everything.
On the topic of race, the candidates took the opportunity to bash President Trump. But Beto O'Rourke came out with a bold statement of his own.
I will also sign into law Sheila Jackson Lee's reparations bill so that we can have the national conversation we have waited too long in this country to have.
South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg referenced the Bible as he took a shot at conservative Christians in the Senate for not supporting a minimum wage bill.
So-called conservative Christian senators right now in the Senate are blocking a bill to raise the minimum wage when Scripture says that whoever oppresses the poor taunts their maker.
And the internet is abuzz over Representative Tim Ryan of Ohio not putting his hand over his heart during the national anthem. Was it an oversight or a statement? The second half of the debate pairs up Senator Kamala Harris and former Vice President Joe Biden. He's the significant frontrunner right now. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Notably lacking from this debate is how in the world are you going to pay for all this? If you're going to start talking about reparations, if you're going to start talking about universal health care, if you're going to start talking about, well, let's bring in all the immigrants, then you get into, well, who's going to pay for that? We can't pay for the government we currently have. We keep running into these incredible spending deficits, adding $1 trillion, $2 trillion on a yearly basis to our bill that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren get the privilege of paying. Who's going to pay for it? That needs to be part of the debate. Well, in other news, the Senate is actually taking up a spending bill today. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. Speaking of which, the Senate votes on that two-year budget deal today. The bill passed the House last week. It eliminates the threat of another government shutdown through the rest of President Trump's first term and raises the national debt limit until the middle of 2021. President Trump has urged Republicans to support the deal, but fiscal conservatives are balking because it adds $2 trillion in debt. Despite the opposition, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell reportedly is confident it will pass. Well, North Korea has again fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast. This is the regime's second weapons test in less than a week. North Korean state media said the tests were supervised by leader Kim Jong-un and designed to deliver a, quote, solemn warning to South Korea after its southern neighbor purchased high-tech U.S.-made fighter jets and planned military drills. The test would be another violation of UN Security Council resolutions following stalled negotiations with the United States over its nuclear weapons program. Well, terrorism remains a grave threat to the world community. Israel's success in protecting itself from attacks has helped make the country a global leader in counterterrorism. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell gives us an inside look at its main training center.
A major challenge in fighting terrorism is staying ahead of the game.
We're looking at the threats, we're looking at what's going on around the borders of Israel, and inside it, we're not getting ready for yesterday, we're getting ready for tomorrow.
The IDF started the counterterrorism school in the 1970s after a series of deadly terror attacks. Last year, they trained some 10,000 combat soldiers.
We need quite a lot of special skills for our troops to have and master, and this is the place where most of these skills are taught.
During our visit to the Lotar Counterterrorism School, CBN News went behind the scenes to see how special forces work together in all threatening situations.
We teach soldiers how to rappel down from helicopters, how to breach silently into buildings, how to free hostages being taken by terrorists. We also teach underground warfare in tunnel complexes, mock tunnels that we have dug, especially from the urban terrain.
IDF spokesman Jonathan Conricus explains how tunnel warfare is the latest chapter in the terror playbook.
All of the terrorist organizations that we fight against, whether it is Hezbollah in the north or Hamas in the south, use the subterranean dimension. That is where they hide most of the time, and that is usually also how they try to infiltrate into Israel.
In June, CBN News reported on the discovery of this huge Hezbollah tunnel on Israel's northern border. Conricus said the soldiers who uncovered and captured it would have trained here.
A tunnel is a tunnel, in essence. It's underground, but we've seen that Hamas tunnels differ from Hezbollah tunnels in terms of size and depth and structure.
We have protected this officer's identity who helped destroy tunnels along the Gaza border during Israel's 2014 operation against Hamas.
Later on, when we finished the campaign, I was posted here, taking the knowledge and taking the things that I felt out there in the field and the experience I had to integrate them together into what we teach here.
Israel uses its intel and training to help the world take on terror.
We're sharing a lot about tunnel warfare. We're dealing a lot with how to operate effectively in urban terrain, how to find the terrorists and limit the collateral damage to non-combatants, essentially civilians.
Last year, there were 23 international cooperation exercises.
When other countries we train with, they come and look at us, and I think the things that they find special or extraordinary about the IDF would be we're agile, we're flexible, creative, and some of the things where we live with our backs to the wall, so we have to always move on and be ready for the next threat.
Conricus says while Israel would have preferred not being the leader in this dangerous field, the reality is many terrorists want to kill Israelis. So Israel will continue staying ahead of the game and helping the rest of the world along the way. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
Extraordinary access. Thanks, Chris. Well, here at home, President Trump was on hand as America celebrated a milestone yesterday, 400 years since the first meeting of a representative legislature in what would later become the United States. Speaking at William and Mary College in Williamsburg, Virginia, the president commemorated the first meeting of the House of Burgesses in a small wooden church in nearby Jamestown. Men from 11 of Virginia's major settlements gathered there in 1619.
They came from God and country. They came in search of opportunity and fortune, and they journeyed into the unknown with only meager supplies, long odds, and the power of their Christian faith.
And Gordon, the celebration continues today with a forum on the future of representative democracy across the world.
It's a key anniversary, and realize what they were really trying to do. They were saying that government, remote government from London, from England, wasn't working for them, and they needed to be able to pass their own laws, be able to govern themselves, essentially, and that's a lesson we need to learn again, I think. So many things are happening to our culture based on remote decisions, either unelected bureaucrats or unelected judges, or a distant federal bureaucracy, and it was all about local government and the ability of the average citizen to say, I have a voice, I have a vote, I can participate And when I do, I can see positive change. That's a wonderful lesson for America today.